Okay, welcome to another episode of Seeds of Music. I'm your host, Kyle Williams, and this is the only awesome web show where aspiring musicians can learn right now how to find their market and effectively grow as an independent artist or producer. And even if you don't consider yourself a serious musician, maybe you just kind of dabble in music, play a little guitar, play a little piano. In these interviews, we've got a lot of great tips and insights that are going to help you enjoy your hobby even more instead of stabbing around in the dark. You can even apply these lessons to any situation or any vocation to be more creative, reach your goals, and do what you love every day. Today is a very, very exciting episode, probably the most exciting episode that we have to date on the show, because we have Neal Preston on with us today. And if you don't know who Neal Preston is, he is actually a very passionate photographer, most known for his work with rock musicians from Queen to Bruce Springsteen, Fleetwood Mac, Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson. But today we're going to talk about a book that he has just released, a digital book, even that, called Led Zeppelin Sound and Fury. So I'm sitting down with Neal Preston right now to talk a little bit about his book and a little bit about what it was like being the official tour photographer for Led Zeppelin in the 1970s. Yes, that is the truth. Official photographer for one of the greatest rock bands to have ever existed and my personal favorites. So I'm not going to waste any time. Let's jump right into it. All right. First thing I want to say, Neal, is thanks for coming on the show today. It's a really honor to have you on.
Well, you're very welcome.
Excellent. So let's jump right into it. There are a lot of books out there on Led Zeppelin, and I'd imagine most of them, are full of photographs of the band, performing or hanging out. Besides being a digital release, what sets Led Zeppelin Sound and Fury apart from all the others?
From all the other books that have ever been done?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to think the number one, the photos are better, which I'm relatively certain they are, and the choice that we made to do this book digitally, as opposed to a traditional book. I've already done traditional books on them. It afforded us a chance to break some new ground, because this kind of thing has never really been done before. And obviously you can add content to a digital book that you can't add to a traditional book in terms of the interactive elements, the interviews, the audio captions, the ability to do updates if and when you want to. I mean, it becomes much more experiential in nature than just reading a traditional book. I mean, mind you, I love traditional books. I love coffee table books. But we all know, because of technology, we all know where the publishing business is headed, and has been headed for a while, to a digital where the digital products are becoming more and more popular and selling more and more, and I decided take a little bit of a leap of faith and do it this way.
Okay, well, I think that you're definitely on the right track. I mean, a lot of stuff. I mean, people are reading books on different devices, like the Kindle Fire, and buying books digitally instead of having, because you can have 50 books on a digital device rather than taking up like your whole room.
99% of those are literally digital versions of traditional books.
Yes.
You're turning a page, with your finger, as opposed to actually turning a paper page.
Yeah.
But this, and as you know, this book, my book, is optimized, and it's made specifically for the iPad platform.
Okay.
It's a whole. I mean, it really catapults the reader into another place, and like I say, it's experiential in nature, and I like to feel that it's about as close as you'll ever come to getting into the inner sanctum, so to speak, with this band.
Yeah,
who
you were there.
Notorious for being closed and cloistered.
Yeah, I mean it's a chance. So this book is a chance for all Zeppelin fans to step into a place that no one else has been outside of their circle except for you, because you were part of it, and these are your photographs. Yeah,
and as I say, they were notorious for being cloistered and being a well, let's call it a compact, group of people, and they had a very small, it was a relatively small crew, small touring party, and that kind of club, once you're in, and you can never get out, and good luck getting in.
Why would you want to leave? Why would you want to get out?
It's not like they never fired anybody or anything.
Yeah. Well, they made.
There's a modicum of trust involved, obviously, when you're dealing with a band like this, and 4 extremely strong personalities. More than 4 if you count the manager and the road manager. So
yes,
it's a place where very few have gone or have even ventured to go.
So but you were able to venture there. So I'm curious, what would you say is one critical quality that you had that allowed you to penetrate that inner circle?
Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, first and foremost, you're there to do a job. Okay, you're not some groupie trying to hang on to someone in the band just to become a part of. I'm hired to do a job, so it's a given that you have to have the chops photographically to make that happen. But that's kind of a given. Over and above that, I think that it's a combination of that, of your personality, trustworthiness, knowing where to be and when to be there, and knowing where to not be and when to not be there.
Yeah.
These are all the kind of defining qualities, and some of it is obvious up front, and some of it you kind of have to learn as you go. But I think it really boils down to common sense. I mean, you can't work. If you start thinking that you're the 5th member of this band, you're not going to last very long.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean in terms of throwing your weight around, your ego, having a big mouth, saying things you shouldn't. That's not going to fly. And common sense generally will tell you, will give you the answers to those questions.
So it seems like you also had a control over your own ego, which allowed you to kind of be able to sail along smoothly without running into problems, which is good. I mean, believe it or not, people find this hard to believe, but my ego does not require a neon sign flashing over my head. And as a kind of a self-trained photojournalist, as you know, journalists are taught not to become part of the story. I know if I'm kind of disappearing into the woodwork, if I'm a fly on the wall, and after a while people don't even, it's not that they don't know I'm there, but it's just an accepted thing that I'm there and I get to do my thing, then I'm doing my job very, very well. Oh, excellent. That's great. That's great advice for anybody who's looking to go into a similar path. I mean, that's like the number one thing you learn in journalism school. I mean, I never went to journalism school, but all my close friends are writers, and I know enough about it.
you do not become part of the story. You're there to document.
Yes.
To document and to bring back the photographs that you're hired to shoot. Photographs that are used for various purposes. So it's kind of a goulash of all that stuff. That you mix
it all adds
together,
up.
and that's the recipe, I guess.
Yeah, that definitely is. So, on to my next question. Led Zeppelin had definitely put in the hours of practice to get to their level of skill and musicianship. I mean, since you're behind the scenes, are there any photographs, or did you ever see anything of them, just practicing or writing, or was it all just performing and hanging out and partying?
Well, no, I've shot a couple of band rehearsals, and they never really used to do sound checks. I can't even remember them doing a sound check. They might have done one or two, but I was given pretty much full access while I was around to anywhere I wanted to go. And again, it's obvious. It's an obvious thing that you're not going to knock down the stall, a door of a stall in a bathroom to take a picture of someone in there. But I mean, you use your eye, you use your brain, you use your judgment, and you figure it out.
Yeah, use common sense, like you said before.
Right, exactly.
So, what would you say is the single most important quality that sets Led Zeppelin apart from bands today, and how is that quality conveyed in the images in Led Zeppelin Sound and Fury?
Well, the quality that sets them apart from other bands today is, it's hard for me to say because, I'm not a rock critic, and I don't. Hang on, there's a helicopter going right by. And no, they're not coming for me.
It's LA. They're flying around all the time.
Maybe on the way back.
Yeah.
Make it interesting. Anyway, I'm not a rock critic, so I'm always asked, why is this band's music stood the test of time, and what are their qualities? A big part of the answer to that question is I don't know. But the music certainly has endured because it's good, and a lot of it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And two other things. I think one was the element that of privacy, not personal privacy, but the fact that you couldn't turn on the TV and see them anytime you wanted. Obviously, it was pre-MTV.
Yeah.
But they weren't going to be on Shindig and Hullabaloo and the Ed Sullivan Show and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And you had to, it was really a people's band, and it was a band that we all discovered on our own back in the day when the records used to come out. I mean, they used to sell out in 3 hours. With maybe one advertisement in a newspaper.
That would be like in 2 seconds in today's technology. With
I mean, it
tickets.
was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And also, I think, and a lot of people don't really talk about this, but I would say that most people would consider them a band that appealed more to males than females. I'm not so sure that that's true, but I've heard that said. But that being said, there's most definitely a sexual element to this band that existed, especially live.
Yeah.
That you don't see anymore. It's a sex mixed with a little bit of danger, mixed with a little bit of bombast.
Yeah. But it's genuine.
That's its own recipe. But the more I've thought about it, having done a bunch of interviews for this book, the more I really have come to believe that there's a heavy, heavy sexual element involved with this band that was way up front, yet didn't really need to be talked about.
Yeah, it wasn't overt.
And it was just I don't know if it was Robert or Jimmy or Bonzo's drumming or the combination of all four people together, but a heavy sexual element that definitely was present and right up front.
And I think maybe it's also was very genuine. I mean, it wasn't like they were writing the music thinking, oh, let's be overtly sexual with this to sell our music to people. I mean, it just, the sexuality was a part of who they are, and is a part of
right.
the music.
I think that it was just a given, and they were able to harness it. I mean, how consciously they tried to harness that, I don't know. I would suspect not that much, because it was there anyway. And they now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that in their career they only released one or two actual singles, and that was by design, as per Peter Grant.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted their music, you had to buy the record.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a situation of, well, this record has 3 obvious singles on it, and that'll drive sales of the record, et cetera, like, which is traditionally how albums were sold. The singles were the kind of the entree into the album, but they didn't need to do that. They didn't do it, nor did they need to do it.
Yeah. Well,
and again, I'm just a photographer, so I don't sit and dissect these kind of questions and try to figure out deeper. I'm there to document.
Yeah, but I think I think that on some intrinsic level, like you've experienced it in a way that other people haven't, and it's there. Like the experience is there, and that rings true in what you're saying. I mean, I think what you say is just as valid.
I mean, it's as you say, it's literally from my experience,
which is very unique, which is great reason to have you on. Yeah,
which is absolutely unique, and it's funny because as the years have gone by, I've come to realize how unique it is, and it has been. There's not a lot of people that have had the kind of job that I've had in my life, to do the kind of things I've done, and it's a very small group of people, a handful, and an even smaller handful of people who've done it well. So I'm consider myself extremely fortunate.
Yeah, you're extremely fortunate, but you also, had the right mentality. You focused on, doing the job and exercising common sense, and I think those are qualities that anyone, especially, whether you're in photography or you're a musician, trying to get your music out there and trying to create. I think that's something that we could all learn from.
Yeah.
So my last question here: what is your favorite Led Zeppelin song?
My favorite. Well, I've got 2 or 3 favorites.
Okay, throw them at
me. I love "Sick Again." I love "In My Time of Dying."
Awesome.
And I love "Nobody's Fault But Mine."
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I love "T for One."
T for One. Okay. I love the I love the intro part of T for One. It's like just the way Page layers his guitar on that song really gets me. So that's an awesome one.
But if you listen to Jimmy's guitar playing when they during the meat of that song,
mm-hmm.
The bluesy part of the song, I mean, it's off the chart. It is absolutely off the chart. And I've been listening to a couple of bootlegs that I have. We'll just say non-released material.
Oh yeah.
And Jesus Christ, when that guy was on, I mean, no wonder he's influenced so many guitar players. I mean, it's shocking how, everyone says he plays a little sloppily and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But talk about, it's all about emotion. And as is photography. I mean, if I can convey some kind of emotion in a photo, then I know I've really done my job as well as it could possibly be done.
Yeah.
And that guy plays all about emotion.
Yeah. Music is about conveying emotion, not showing everybody like that your technique is perfect. So, I mean, I know I've heard a lot of guitarists that have perfect technique, and their playing, I guess, isn't sloppy, but it doesn't touch me emotionally, so I don't feel compelled to watch them or listen to their music. So.
Right. Well, and not to denigrate any band or someone, for instance, let's say the Eagles, who I love and have worked a lot with, and have been tracking them since their first album.
Mm-hmm.
But you go to an Eagles show, you're going to get pretty much, chord for chord, note for note, you're going to get on the record.
Yeah.
And, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's not quite what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Exactly.
When we talk about Led Zeppelin. But, there's a place for everyone. I mean, I don't, like I say, I'm not trying to denigrate any band. I'm not trying to take anyone's love of any band ever away from them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got some guilty pleasure bands that I wouldn't even tell you who they are.
All right.
I'm embarrassed.
I have quite a few too. Trust me. That puts me in a demographic that's not even around the 27-year-old male demographic. More like the 45-year-old woman, soccer mom, demographic. But yeah, that's as much as I'm willing to admit.
That's okay, man.
All right, well, that might be close, man.
But I mean, one of my all-time, this will probably blow your mind, but one of my all-time favorite singers ever is Al Jolson, and I've loved Al Jolson since I was a kid, since first time I saw the movie The Jolson Story.
So it's all about that childhood influence and the nostalgia you have for it, but.
Yeah, but this is a guy who was popular in 1915, and essentially had the voice of a rabbi.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
As they call them in the synagogues, and I have very eclectic musical tastes, but give me a rock band, I'm gonna play the Who.
Gotcha.
Because Pete Townsend was my favorite ever.
Nice. Yeah.
Except for John Lennon, of course.
Okay. Yeah, gotta have the Beatles in there.
Well, they will always be head and shoulders above anybody.
Gotcha.
But in terms, that's where in my heart of hearts. But in terms of pure emotion, give me the Who.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely is conveyed on their stage performance. Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But do you like the book?
Yeah, it's great, and I just want to say thanks for coming on the show and talking about the book and your experience, working behind the scenes with Led Zeppelin. So everyone who's listening, make sure to check out the link below and grab a copy. You will not regret it, especially if you're a Zeppelin fan. You need to have a copy. Absolutely.
Yeah, and don't forget, it is for the iPad only, at least at this point. And it's available on the iBookstore.
Okay, awesome. We'll have that link provided below. And thanks again, Neal, for coming on. This is
anytime, man.
Awesome interview.
Let's do it again for the next book.
All right, we will, man. I'll be looking forward to it. Maybe we'll do one on the Who.
Hopefully.
Okay.
All right. See you later, man.
See you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. And there you go. That wraps up another episode of Seeds of Music. This episode we had Neal Preston on the show talking about his book, Led Zeppelin Sound and Fury. Make sure you check it out. It's a wonderful book. The new format on the iPad being digital makes it even an experience for Led Zeppelin that you've probably never had unless you actually saw them when they were alive, which you can't really trump that. But as far as books go, there's no way to top the level of experience that you will get out of Led Zeppelin Sound and Fury. And I just gotta say, guys, that was so awesome for me personally, being able to talk to someone who was there and was had in contact directly with Zeppelin back in the day at their prime. It's just an amazing experience. Hopefully you got a lot from that interview too, and you're going to check out that book. So make sure to check out the link below, hop over on iTunes, and get yourself a copy. Also, if you haven't, sign up for the email newsletter. You need to be on it, because if you are not, then it's just hard for me to get in touch with you and hard for me to keep you updated on all the latest awesome interviews like we just had with Neal Preston. So just head over to the front page, seedsofmusic.net, where you'll see a little form on the sidebar on the post of this page, and just punch in your email and get on the newsletter and become part of this growing movement. And if you're watching from another video service like YouTube, and you're subscribed to the YouTube channel, you need to be on the actual website newsletter. So go over to the website, seedsofmusic.net, and sign up there. And if you think this was awesome, then share it, like the video. If you love Led Zeppelin, then you gotta just like and share this interview, because, I mean, come on, Neal Preston was there. He's offering some kind of a lot of insight into what it was like being around them. I just think it's cool being able to talk to anybody who knew them next to talking to the band themselves, which hopefully one day that will happen. But until then, this is an awesome opportunity. So share and like this interview so other people can check it out. Also, comment on the video. What's your favorite Led Zeppelin song? Also, now that we've taken things up a notch, who else would you like to see interviewed? Would you like to be interviewed as well? Then just send me an email at kyle.seedsofmusic@gmail.com, and I'll get right back to you. It'll take me it won't take me too long. Guys, stay tuned for the next interview. I hope to see you there and in the comments section.